I was looking at NFL standings on ESPN.com, and you should have seen the ad that was running above the standings. It was for Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I'm a programmatic ad legend. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter, as always, at redrock_bball, on TikTok, at redrock_bball, and on Instagram, at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free. We are available on all platforms. Are you a double banger here in 2024? All the cool kids are doing it. You watch the video, you download the audio, and you listen to that as well. You hit thumbs up, you subscribe, you ring the bell like Anita Ward, I was told it was. That actually makes you a quintuple banger. Audio, video, subscribe, thumbs, bells. Wow, we're just banging left, right, and center here. That's how you do it. We're here to talk about the action on Tuesday. There is quite a bit for us to get into. You'll be shocked to know, because I am obviously really short with my amount of words that I throw out there. We're going to go in and just look at everything that happened on Tuesday. There were only 6 games on, but that doesn't stop us because we've got stuff that we've got to cover. So let's get to the news. There is no timeline on the big fella, Nikola Vucevic, in Chicago. Are you shocked? You shouldn't be. What's the equation that we love to run here? Old bastard, muscle injury, weeks. The easiest of equations. Maybe we can attach one of those equations to a certain skinny legend in Phoenix who is currently dealing with a hamstring strain. Old bastard, muscle strain, left a game. I don't know how long KD is going to be out, but I knew he was going to be out tomorrow, and I think he might be out more. We'll see. Anyway, Vooch is out. We roll with Drummond until he comes back. My initial thing was 2 to 3 weeks with Vooch. Let's see how it goes. This one's something I don't really know what to make of it, because Steve Kerr said something sort of flippantly in a press conference today. He said, oh yeah, Draymond hasn't been to the facility. We're giving him his space and he's giving us our space. What? There was talk that he might return the end of this week, with the NBA's nebulous suspension length still floating out into the ether. And I'll continue to criticize them for that shitful suspension decision. But he's not even around the team. They don't even know what's going on. No one's got any idea. There is no way, I would say, it's Tuesday now, there's no way he's coming back this week. There's no way I could possibly see that. They do play again Thursday and then Sunday. There's no chance he's playing Thursday. I guess maybe Sunday, but he's not around the team. And he's been allowed to be around the team. And they've both just said, nah. I don't know what it means. Are they going to trade Draymond? And this comes a day after Steve Kerr said, I'm sticking with this starting lineup for the foreseeable future. And we said, what does that mean? Until Draymond comes back, is Draymond going to come off the bench? What does any of this mean? I don't know. I'm not out here telling you that I know that Draymond's getting traded or getting benched or out of the rotations, or they're keeping him home all season, or that the suspension runs another 3 weeks. I don't know any of that. But I do know that those two things on back-to-back days make me go, huh? I definitely think about it and go, what are we? I've got nothing else to think about. What else is going on in my life? Seriously. But I do think about it and go, that is curious. Often coaches and teams, outside of the ones that just plainly bullshit, they will just throw little things out there that aren't them. Because you know this. And if anyone here listen to this, and I'm sure there's not, anyone here is a journalist or a reporter or just anybody. People love to talk. They love to tell you, hey, I'll tell you something. Don't tell anybody, but people love to talk. And one of the best things as a journalist, reporter, whatever, is ask the question and listen. Listen. People love to tell you things. They love to make it seem like they're important. I'm not saying Steve Kerr's not important, because he's got a huge job. He's paid millions and millions of dollars. People love to say things even when they can't say things. So I don't know what any of it means, but I do know that having those two statements on back-to-back days about Draymond Green and the starting line from Steve Kerr is something that you shouldn't ignore. It may lead to absolutely nothing. But people love to say things. They love to tell you that they know something, even if they can't tell you that they know something. And it comes out in certain ways. I could be completely off base here. But that's one thing. If I'm going to teach you one thing that's a life lesson that's not fantasy basketball related, is listen. Just ask questions and sit back and listen. And you'll find out stuff. Because people love to talk. Like me. D'Angelo Russell is doubtful. Bruised tailbone. Think of a shit schedule. We said this already. They don't play a quality game until Sunday. He was in a bench role. I don't know what it means in terms of his value moving forward. We know Rui Hachimura's out. Again, how long's he out? I've got no idea. I'm putting it at 2 weeks at least, maybe 3. It's very hard to consider Russell a hold at this point. What they do, though, if they put Cam Reddish back starting over Austin Reeves, I'm moving the target off the Charlotte Hornets onto the Lakers because that's ridiculous. But we'll see what they do. Durant is out. I just mentioned that tomorrow. So is General Soreness, Jimmy Butler. That's the wrong hand. You've got to do it right-handed, don't you? Jimmy Butler's out again with this foot issue. Caleb Martin is doubtful. So you're going to just keep rolling out the Jaime Jaquez's and Duncan Robinsons and deeper Jamal Cain's because Hayward Highsmith is out as well. To say it has been a bad year for Butler is an understatement. And I know there are very staunch, I'm very happy about this. There are very staunch Jimmy Butler fans out there. Very staunch Jimmy Butler supporters out there. But we have to ask the question. But he just led the team to the finals. Yeah, I know. But he's been shit house, hasn't he? It's been a marked decline. And now the injuries are racking up. It is worrying. I don't think we need to be overly concerned that he's almost 99% in jest. But it hasn't been very good. And that part is definitely not in jest. What are the waiver wire trends over the last 24 hours? That is the question. I've got the answer. The most added player in the last 24 hours is Larry Nance, up 26%. The back-to-back is interesting. Whether he plays tomorrow, I don't know. I expect that he does. It was a rib injury, not a bottom injury. Don't know what a bottom injury would be, but hey, again, D'Angelo Russell's got a bottom injury. Oh my God, I'm just losing my mind. This is what happens again. My missus is away, so what else am I going to do? Except for just go crazy looking at fantasy basketball stuff 24/7. Larry Nance been added. Not a bad ad, especially for a 14-teamer. The Big Ragu, up 15%. Still not 100% that he's going to be this dominating force, but he's fine to roster clearly. Trace Jackson-Davis, the Warriors, with a pretty good schedule, the Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. The Tuesday game's obviously happening now. He's going to start for the foreseeable future. We roll with that. Wendell Carter up 11%. People love when someone scores, don't they? He had 17 points last game, so everyone's back on the Wendell bandwagon. I get it. He came off the bench again today. Maybe he sits tomorrow. I'm not sure. But that's okay. Herb Jones up 9%. I guess for the back-to-back. I guess because Trey Murphy was out. We'll talk about him later on. And then Lou Dort. Well, you rolled it all right today for Lou, didn't you? Yeah, we know. He's just a stream guy. I think we should be considering Herb Jones in a similar vein to Daughter. The people lost their patience with the Mavs. Dante Exum down 18%. Derek Jones down 15% with the first game with Kyrie back. Very hard to fully evaluate that game given they lost by 40. I'd like to have a little bit more patience on both of those players to see a game when it's not a complete blowout and see how the minutes roll and what the production is. But if you did need to activate somebody or get somebody else in, who cares? You're not losing a huge amount there. Peyton Watson, cool. Eric Gordon, it just keeps getting dropped. The roll is fine. The roll is okay. Sticks, yeah, he's shithouse. We know he's shithouse. Get rid of him. No, you could keep him. I actually did drop him in industry pickup today. He's just not very good. And the last one there is Rui Hachimura. Again, why did so many people add him? Now they've dropped him. He has the most inexplicable stan following that I've ever seen. It is, especially even in fantasy, it is absolutely inexplicable to me. But whatever. We all have our certain proclivities. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. The NFL season regular season is wrapping up, but there is still time to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any bet that you place as $5, guaranteed. $150 bonus bets, win or lose. Screw the money line. Don't worry about having it win. All you do is put a $5 bet on and you get $150 in bonus bets back. That is so simple. It's better than the last offer was garbage. That was 2023 garbage. This is 2024. That's where we're at with FanDuel. It's so easy to use the app. So many different ways to play, including something called a parlay. Make a parlay in the Parlay Hub. The best way to find popular parlays is by making a parlay in the Parlay Hub. You can also use this live same-game parlays and find bets like parlays in the new Explore tab over on FanDuel. So go to fanduel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an extra point, a 2-point conversion where you tell the ref the wrong offensive lineman or he thinks you told him the wrong offensive lineman and then you convert it and everyone gets upset. I don't know. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL. And don't forget to gamble responsibly. That'll bring us into the games. Yeah. All right. Your Chicago Bulls up against the Philadelphia 76ers is the first game that we are going to get into here. And the Sixers had their way with Chicago. Not a particularly big surprise there. 110 Philadelphia, 97 Chicago. The Bulls had a couple of injuries here. 11 minutes only for Pat Williams. He had 3, 1, and 0. So much for one of the streams of the day. He's had this ankle injury for a little bit of time on and off. He keeps getting listed probable. He said after the game, I'm all good. The training staff's not worried. And he thinks he might play tomorrow. He's been about 110th over the last month, which obviously is a must-roster player. The return of Zach LaVine is going to have an impact because somebody is moving to the bench. Whether it's Caruso or Williams, I'm not sure. But somebody will move to the bench. Williams has been going pretty well. I would be hesitant, unless he's out, and we hear that he's out, I don't think there's any point in dropping Pat Williams in advance of Zach LaVine coming, especially when they are on a back-to-back for Wednesday. But we just monitor it. Kobe White also got hurt. He had played 28 minutes, 14, 4, and 3 with 2 steals. Shot pretty poorly, but at least he got some steals back. We talked about him, how he had 2 steals here. First steal since December 16th. We talked about it earlier on the Buy Low, Sell High show earlier in the day. White is probably going to lose something in terms of usage when LaVine comes back, but some of the stuff that he's been struggling with, like 21% shooting from 3, has absolutely zero to do with LaVine returning. He said he was fine to return to this game, so he should be okay tomorrow. Dalen Terry, 21 minutes, 6, 8, and 7, but it was a blowout, so I don't really care. While DeRozan had 16 points on 50% shooting, a bit of empty line from DeMar. He has been better of late, though. Drummond played 28 minutes, 11 and 17 with just horrendous percentages. 39 from the field and 25 from the line. Absolutely sucks. And he had a steal and a block, which is all right. But that field goal percentage, that is bringing back absolute PTSD from watching Andre Drummond try to ISO and take everyone off the dribble when he played in Cleveland and thought he was the best player in the world. And that just made me hate that guy as a player. I just hated that era of Andre Drummond. And seeing this level of usage and efficiency makes me shudder. Oh, it's disgusting. The rabbit hunter, Alex Caruso, 8 points in 21 minutes, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. He shot horribly as well. I would still be holding him, but we'll reassess everything once the skater boy returns. For the Sixers, Embiid was back, just a casual 31, 15, and 10 triple-double with 2 blocks. Good. Tyrese Maxey, 21 with 5 assists and 4 threes on 50%. We talked about how some of his shooting numbers were down. We talked about maybe the assists were low because Embiid was out. They weren't great here, but still a good number. And the thick hogsman, Toby Harris, had 20 and 8 with 2 blocks on 69%. They started Kelly Oubre because Melton was out. Well, sorry, that's not true. They started Oubre and Batum because Melton was out. Oubre played 27 minutes for 16, 4, and 3 with 3 steals and 3 threes. You can hold him. Like, he's 132nd over the last 2 weeks. He's 155th for the season. And while Melton is out, we roll with it. But if he moves to the bench behind Melton and Batum, then I don't think you need to roster Oubre. He is a very empty one-trick pony. That's not true. He can get some steals as well, but it doesn't happen enough, and he doesn't get enough minutes. He doesn't get enough usage on a team that is fully healthy. We're obviously going and jacking off Paul Reed. Get that garbage out of here! 13 minutes, 2 points, 2 steals. Embiid back, Reed gone. Embiid out, Reed in. So much for lying legend Nick Nurse. And we'll definitely see them play together. I reckon it's happened 30 seconds this season. I could look at it, but I just don't want to. Let's go on to the second game of the day, and this was equally disgusting. The New Orleans Pelicans 112 beat the Brooklyn Nets 85, and to say that the vibes stink like absolute rancid dog shit in Brooklyn would be being kind to rancid dog shit, because things are terrible. Did they stem from the whole resting scenario, where Jacques Vaughn rested the guys in conjunction, I am guessing, with the medical staff, the sports science, the front office, and the players weren't on board with it? I don't know, but they absolutely reek at the moment. Which stinky ass should we go to first? Spencer Dinwiddie, who was scoreless in 21 minutes. He had 5 assists and missed all 6 of his shots. He is now 298th over the last 2 weeks. That pushes him outside the top 150 for the season, and that's right in line with him being an absolute ass balls whole whatever legend of being a shit for category leagues. I don't know what all that level of insult was. That's how annoyed I am at looking at this whole box score. Can you roster Spencer Dinwiddie? You can do whatever you want. Do you need to? Probably not. He stinks in so many areas here. Now, there's some talk that Ben Simmons might be doing some 2-on-2s with the coaching staff when they return back to Brooklyn in 4 days, and then to 3-on-3s, and so he's bloody weeks away still. This team has to undergo changes. They stink. We talked about this also at the start of the year, is that their fact that they made the playoffs was just complete bullshit because it wasn't anything to do with the team that's currently here, and they were well below 500 as a squad once they had those players. And they're bad again. Let's do a good thing here, because Cam Johnson had 17 points with 5 threes. That's good. He hadn't been playing particularly well. And Day'Ron Sharpe, after getting 8 minutes or 9 minutes last game, just went back to being a really strong stream guy. 12 and 9, a block, 67%, 17 minutes. That's really good. He's 116th over the last 2 weeks in these limited backup minutes. Claxo had 8 points in 23 minutes. I would say that Nick Claxton's been a disappointment this season. And Mikal Bridges, wow, can I even classify this as a disappointment? 29 minutes, 13, 3 and 2, 36%. Again, I was very down on him. Not like this, though. This is ridiculous. There is a buy low in here somewhere, but I'm not even projecting him to be top 50 rest of season. Top 75, maybe. Dorian Finney-Smith started, had 3 points in 20 minutes, but I know you've been waiting for it. I'm not going to take a victory lap. I don't need to take a victory lap on any of this stuff because nothing is decided. But Cam Thomas is just bad. I mean, he's just terrible. 0 points in 20 minutes. He still managed to get up 11 shots, missed them all. He continues to have one of the worst, if not the absolute worst, advanced stats in the entire team in terms of rotation players. He had that really interestingly hot start in terms of efficiency to start the season, and it's bad. Actually, I'm looking now in terms of EPM. He is the worst player on this team with EPM, including every player except for Armani Brooks, who's played 11 minutes he has played under 100 minutes for the season. Thomas is a negative 3.4 and has contributed negative estimated wins. This is not a victory lap because it's not far from... Thomas can become a good player, but everything that I've said about him is playing out basically perfectly to script at the moment. And I don't... actually included him on the Waiver Wire show the other day or last week with this. You don't have to roster him.
Get that garbage out of here!
He just is... it is a dreadful slump, obviously. But this dreadful slump now puts him to 175th on the season for category leagues. Points leagues, he's still top 100, but he's not getting it at the moment. He's just bad. And I do think there is a chance for him to be better later on. And I think I've been relatively kind in terms of giving a bit of a leash to wait until we see the full drop-off. But man, Jesus Christ, it was brutal today. He's not alone. The rest of the team sucked as well. But I can't look at that as an absolute must roster. You can drop, you can hold, you can do whatever with it. But by no means, if you dropped him now, would I say, yeah, what an idiot move. I'd say, all right, fair enough. He stinks. But also always remember, I don't like his style of play. I don't think it leads to winning basketball. And I always think that a coach will come in and be like, it's not going to happen, mate, and move to other players. That's how I view him as a player. So I'm always going to be quicker on him than I am with other guys who I do think contribute and can earn more minutes back. For the Pelicans, hard to judge the full Valanciunas-Nance split, although they both played exactly 20. Valanciunas had 11 and 12 with a steal and a block. Nance had 6 and 8 with 2 steals. That's really good for adding Nance. It's really worrying for where Valanciunas lies. But this game was over with like 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. They got all their bench guys in for the final, like 8 minutes or 7 minutes or something. Zion only played 26 minutes, 10, 3, and 5. His usage still remains really low. It's been a very disappointing season from Zion. I don't know whether he plays tomorrow. He may not. But given the fact that no energy was expended here, maybe he does. No defensive stats for Gary Payton III, CJ McCollum. He had 16, 6, and 5 with 4 3. So overall a good game. And same with Brandon Ingram, the new Robert Covington, who'd been racking up defensive stats like he never met him before. 12, 5, and 5 with a block for Ingro. Not a real lot to talk here. We've got 26 Jordan Hawkins minutes because, of course, it was a gigantic blowout and Trey Murphy wasn't there. But yeah, it's not many takeaways apart from the Valanciunas-Nance minutes split seemingly becoming a consistent thing. Maybe. Today's episode is brought to you by the Game Time app. You shouldn't have to worry about buying tickets to your next event. Game Time is the fast and the easy way to get tickets, whether that's to concerts, musicals, sporting events, comedy, real legitimate theatre. Game Time has it all for you. It takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. It's got the views from your seats. If you go, well, what the hell am I going to see? Is this restricted? Where am I seeing? Is there a big pole right in front of me? You go on, you click the seat, you go, perfect. That's amazing. Or you can just take even more of the hassle out of it by choosing their zone deals. You pick an area to sit, you go somewhere around there, big fella, and they go in and they pick it for you, and you save up to 18% on average on those deals. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, download the app, redeem the code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Let's do the next game. Is it as much of a blowout? Not quite, but still not super good. Don't worry. The next game coming up was the Grizzlies 106, the Spurs 98. Wembanyama got 26 minutes. Hey! 2 minutes over his limit. And this limit thing is bullshit. It's really... I'm not suggesting that he's not injured because we saw him twist his ankle, but 24 minutes is ridiculous. And they're like, oh, we'll keep it for a bit and then we'll do another image and see what happens. Oh, bro, okay. 20 and 7, 2 threes and 4 blocks. He's, over the last 2 weeks, the 25th ranked player in 24 minutes a night. He's going to be a first rounder, guaranteed, next season. Guaranteed. You know that I like Julian Champagny? And then he was getting like 12 minutes a night as a starter. Move off. All right, so Bubbles played 22 minutes here. He had 12, 4, and 2 with 3 threes. That's really interesting, at least for 14 teamers, but I don't trust it. I guess part of it is because Malachi Branham left the game after 7 minutes with an ankle sprain, and that meant we got more Blake Wesley, who had 10 points in his 21 minutes. With the absence of Zach Collins and the limitations on Wemby, we got Don Barlow, ESPN unknown player legend, having 4, 7, and 2 in 14 minutes, and Sandro Mamukelashvili was out of the rotation. So I think Barlow's the better player and better prospect personally, but on a game-by-game basis, it doesn't appear to be easy to predict that. The horse, Keldon Johnson, was back. Pretty good game considering how much he'd sucked recently. 19, 6, and 4 in 31, while Vassell had played well, and then he wasn't very good. 11 points with a 1-1. But what was interesting is that Trey Jones did start the second half with Branham out. I don't know that carries over. I would say that Trey Jones wasn't very good. 2, 4, and 4 on 17%. He's a little bit of a stash, but the upside for him is not high. We've seen him as a starter last season. How good was it? The answer is not very. And I don't really see much changing there. This whole team is just turned from, man, we can't wait to watch Wembanyama, to be like, this bullshit you're doing with the rotations, the minutes for Wemby, why would anyone want to watch, even though Wembanyama literally is the most exciting prospect we've seen in years. This is, again, Pop has very clearly lost his coaching fastball, in my opinion. Very clearly. And the management all over the shop. They deserve more fire. For the Grizzlies, Ja Morant, 35 minutes, 26, 5, and 10, 3 threes. Left really right on the halftime buzzer with a knee problem. He sort of had to be carried into sort of helped into the locker room. But he seemed like he was fine. We'll see whether he's any problem with him tomorrow. We had Jaren Jackson on the buy low saying, I don't really think that Jaren's going to be limited in these sort of defensive numbers. That just seems ridiculous. 4 blocks, 3 steals in 32 minutes for Jaren. The buy low bump hits early. Unfortunately, he had 10 points on 21%, so that was stinky. But everything else is pretty good. Desi Bain had 24, while Santi Aldama delivered 13 and 11 in 28 minutes. Good. He took 6 shots, and I tell you now, I could not care less. I am definitely not adding in 10 or 12 team leagues. What was really interesting is that the cashier, Xavier Tillman, was out of the rotation. Played 20 seconds at the end of the game. I have no idea. I don't understand what Taylor Jenkins is doing with these centers. I do not get it. We had 28 minutes for Biyombo, 4 and 8 with 3 blocks, while Vincey Williams got 22 minutes, 8 and 5 with 2 threes. The Duck, Luke Kennard, played his 21 minutes. He hit 3 threes. He's turning into a really strong threes and points streamer, especially for 14-teamers. I do think that he won't play tomorrow, nor do I think Derrick Rose will play, who left this game with thigh soreness. And at this point, bro's a little cooked. He just can't do it, which is, again, a shame from his basketball abilities. His off-court stuff, well, we all know about that, don't we? What else is there? Not much to talk about in that one. Yeah. But what about the next game? Who was a absolute cracker, which is great, because there were some stinkers in this one. This is the best team in the Eastern Conference. This is the second best team in the Western Conference by standings, but are the Oklahoma City Thunder the best team in the NBA? They've beaten the Thunder. Sorry, they beat the Nuggets. They've just smacked the Celtics. 127. Well, they didn't smack them, but they had it pretty much in control. 127, 123. I'm looking forward to the next ESPN MVP straw poll because I don't know where I'm going to put Shai. And I talked about this yesterday or the day before. So, look, where do you put him? If you put him number one, I wouldn't argue. He's been ridiculous. On to the Celtics. Not a good game from Jrue Holiday. 7, 5, and 7, 31 minutes. He got benched down the stretch for Peyton Pritchard. Yuck. Bad percentages as well. He'd been poor to start the year. Had a really hot streak. Dropped off a bit. I'm a little worried about the health, but we'll be okay. Jaylen Brown shot horribly. 15 on 22%. He's yuck. He had no defensive stats with 6 rebounds, and his pretty disappointing season continues, while Porzingis was great. 35 minutes, 34 and 10 and 3 blocks. And Tatum had 30 and 13 with 8 assists, which is also a really good game. Maximum Derek White, 29 minutes, 19, 5 and 6 with 5 threes. He did have some foul trouble, so the minutes were a little bit lower there. Had a steal and a block as well. He still continues to just roll at this ridiculously high level that I cannot believe will hold, but it just keeps holding. I don't know. I am going to do a show, I've decided. I don't know when. Picking my All-Star team. I haven't actually sat down to look at it. But how do I put him on, but how do I keep him off? Is he their second best player? I think that's probably Porzingis. Is Derek White better than Jrue Holiday or Jaylen Brown? Probably. I honestly don't know. I don't know. But they lost, so who cares? Actually, that's not true. We'll talk Peyton Pritchard, who got 25 minutes and some of the closing minutes over Jrue. 5, 3, and 4 with 2 steals. Defended pretty well, but we're obviously not caring there. But what we do need to care about is this Thunder team because they are unbelievably good. I went back and decided to look at my season win over-under total show, and the Thunders were set at 44.5, and I went, I've got them at 43, which is like a 3 or 4 game improvement from the year before, and I said, I think I'll go a soft under, which obviously looks ridiculously stupid at this point. But I did say this, if there's going to be any team that takes this gigantic leap and becomes the number 2 seed in the Western Conference with 50-plus wins, it's going to be them. I'm not willing to bet it. I'm not going to project it, or basically the exact words that I said. But if there's any team that's going to jump up and become the second seed with 50+, it's going to be the Thunder. So I wish my balls were bigger. I also wish I had the courage to go out and put that out into the ether and put it as an actual pick because they're bloody good. Shai, 36, 6, and 7 in 37 minutes. Disappointing to go 63 from the line, but the rest is great. He is the number 2 player this season. While Josh Giddey, I won't say he's back, but he's definitely playing better. 27 minutes, 23, 8 and 6, 4 threes, 57%. He's now top 85 over the last 2 weeks. The worry there is the minutes. He's not a 30, 31 guy. He's like a 26, 27, but the production's been good. Chet Holmgren, 14, 3 and 7 with 4 blocks, another great game, while the Bronco had the defensive stats. Finally, Jalen Williams, 3 steals, 2 blocks, 16 points, only 1 rebound and 1 assist, but some good numbers nonetheless. While Luguentz Dort, 3 blocks, 1 steal, 9 points, 8 rebounds. He did the shooting thing, 29%. That's Lou Dort, isn't it? But he did bring the defensive numbers. You know that he is just an absolute roller coaster yo-yo that you can't trust at all. But he's always going to be there for a stream to see how it goes. It could absolutely dick you. It really could. And you could have dicked your field goals here really, really in a strong way. But getting those defensive stats is strong. And we also just not much out of the bench. They just ran a pretty regular rotation. We're seeing Micic in the rotation now. We're seeing Pig Williams and Cason Wallace playing his 17 minutes off the bench as well. But they're not doing these, one guy 30 minutes, then 0 the next game. They're a serious team. And it is hard to look at the West and go, well, the Wolves and the Thunder are the best 2 teams, but how do we project them to win the title? Because the thing is that everyone seems to have burnt into their head, and I find it even hard as well. It's like, well, they've never done it before. Well, cool. The only way you can actually ever do it for the first time is by doing it for the first time. I think sometimes we get, you can't pick this team. They've never done it. They've never been there. They've never done it. Cool. But you have to win the first time without doing it. There is literally no way around that. So why not? Why can't the Thunder do it? There's plenty of reasons, but they've had literally no injuries all season. But they're good, man. And that was a really, really good game. All right, so wow, what a choke this was from the Sacramento Kings. The Hornets had lost 11 in a row. They were on a back-to-back. They had no LaMelo Ball. They had no doubtful legend Mark Williams. There was a late scratch of Brandon Miller. Ntilikina wasn't there. The team sucks. And then they choke away a lead and lose it 111-104. Just unfathomable how you could give that game away. I don't get it. Anyway, for the positive side, the Hornets, sick legend Terry Rozier only played 31 minutes. Didn't think he was even going to play. 34, 3 and 6, 1 steal, 2 blocks. The sell high is open as long as LaMelo is out. Good game. Bridges, 40 minutes, 27, 5 and 3 with 2 blocks. He'd been struggling a little bit, but this is a good comeback here. What I'm very interested with, because we can look at this and go, PJ Washington had 17, 4 and 3 and 3 threes, and that's a really good line. But why is he only playing 24 minutes? There's no Mark Williams, there's no Gordon Hayward, there's no Brandon Miller. That's centers and forwards. And he still doesn't play. I don't think he's hit 30 minutes in 5 straight games. I don't really understand it. 24 minutes for him. 26 for Big Dick Nick, who had 7 and 10 with a steal and a block. Keep rostering him until Mark Williams is back. Cody Martin, again, hadn't played for 3 years, but plays 33 minutes on the second night of a back-to-back, 5 games into his return. That makes 0 sense, but he did it. 10 and 2 with 2 assists and a steal. He's at least a 14-team league guy to take a look at because he is a rotation guy. And as I've said many times, he's a guy that Steve Clifford is going to love. Bryce McGowan's keeps starting and doing nothing, 4 points in 21 minutes. Well, Ish had a nice little 23-minute run, 4, 6, and 4 for Mr. Smith. Well, the other Smith, Nick Smith, had 6 points and 2 blocks in 19 minutes. But this is a team that was running out 16 minutes of the genius Nate Mensah. What? Yeah, and they beat the Kings. It wasn't that Sabonis didn't put up good numbers, 23, 18, and 4 on 52%. He didn't get to the line at all. He got there one time and missed it. De'Aaron Fox put up good counting stats, 30 and 5, 5 assists, a steal, and a block, but we detailed him on the Sell High show. So, hey, absolutely no way that some of this shooting is going to hold. 44% from the field, 30% from 3 on 10 attempts, 63 from the line. Hurt you in a lot of areas there. The way you know you're able to do sell highs on certain players like Fox is I talked about Fox at length, detailed all the reasons why he was a sell high. Someone jumps into the comments, absolutely no way. Fox is legit, he'll keep doing this. I guarantee it. That's how you know it's a sell high. Because there was no way he would continue to be a 47% three-point shooter. There was none. It wasn't going to happen. But people get on there like this boy nice little run, and they can get convinced of that stuff. And it might still be able to be done here. Like 30 and 5 and 5 is still awesome, right? That's a still great game. But he was rolling on these very, very high shooting numbers, which fell away. I don't want to have to do it, but I do have to do it because Chris Duarte played 30 minutes. He had 9, 7, and 4 as a starter. That is not a 12-team league player, but it is someone that he was literally out of the rotation, right? He is someone now that we have to go, okay, in your 16-team leagues, we go and add Duarte. In our 14-teamers, we at least consider it, but that's probably all that we're at with that at the moment. That's probably all that we're at. But it is very, very interesting that that's the direction that they went and the minutes got pumped into him. And he delivered okay. Deeper leagues pay attention. He moves at least somewhat onto the old stream board now as someone that we can consider. Harrison Barnes might be. He might be cooked. He looks bad. I hated the contract when they re-signed him to it. Makes little sense now. 3 points, 24 minutes, 2 steals. They're limiting his minutes. They're playing more of Trey Lyles, who continues to play well. I don't know that Lyles and Sabonis starting together makes a ton of sense, but I don't know that Barnes starting does either. And the king of highlight reel bias, Keegan Murray, was at it again. Murray played 37 minutes. He had 3 steals. That's nice, but he had 10 points. He shot 33% from the field. He is now, 98 for the season? Yeah, 98 for the season, 169th over the last 2 weeks. As soon as he's one of those guys, again, that people really love. I'm just much lower on him than most others. But as soon as he has a big game, it's like, oh yeah, top 50 guy, top 40, he's going to roll, he's going to kill. He's dominating, he's great. Did you know that he set the rookie record for three-pointers, mate? It's the argument every time when someone says anything negative about Keegan. But he has too many of these. Too many of these invisible games where the shot's not there. He doesn't do enough in enough other areas for me to get super excited. I am not telling you to drop Keegan Murray because I don't believe that you should. He is a must-roster player to me. But he's also one of those guys that when the big games come, you see what you can do. You see how you can move on because a large part of fantasy is somehow reading other people and understanding the general vibes around certain guys. And he's one of these guys that gets unconditional love anytime he does something good. I don't know what it is. I don't know why he gets that, but he does. And you need to recognize that. And when he has games like these, or this last run of games where it hasn't been very good, like nothing really gets mentioned about it. So if you could always try and sell for these sort of players, when something is cracking at a super high rate, like, wow, did you see they even asked Steph about him in a press conference? That's how you try and do sell highs. Malik Monk wasn't very good here. 6 points in 20 minutes. Seemed to be like having some issues with Mike Brown, like in terms of low minutes and like arguing back and forth. He had a quick trip to the locker room. I don't really know what the hell went on. 6 points, 20 minutes, 2 threes. Just watch it because he is down at the moment. Only 23 minutes average over the last 2 weeks, which is nowhere near enough. And while Mike Brown's been really good for this team, that is some curiously bad coaching, I think. They're still going okay, the Kings, but there are some genuine questions about some of the things happening here at the moment, I think. Oh, yeah, and if you didn't know, you dropped Fanta Pants and Harrison Barnes. But yeah, we were all about that on the opening night of the season. We said, we don't need to do this. We don't need to have these guys on our team. And you don't need to have those guys on your team. And then we do the final game of the day. The Golden State Warriors get the best of the Orlando Magic. The final score here in this one, 121 Golden State, 115 to the Orlando Magic. Not going to sing it. Not going to sing it because they lost. But that's fine. The Magic were without Markelle Fultz again, John Isaac, and Joe Ingles. I just have no idea what's going on with Fultz. They're equally as bad as, well, not equally. They're close enough to being as bad as Charlotte. Fultz is fine to roster, but who knows? Honestly, who knows? Let's talk about a guy who is in a gigantic slump, and that is Jalen Suggs. He played 31 minutes, so that's good, but he had 10 points on 21%, no defensive stats with 3 assists. I do think we want to hold him. He's 108th now for the season, but on a horrible slump outside the top 200. Hold for now. Cole Anthony, the minutes went back up, 8 points in 26, but it's really hard for me to suggest that he is going to be a hold because I do think he's at risk at losing quite a few minutes here. He's fine, but you don't have to do it. Franz Wagner continues his strong run, 25-6 with 2 steals. Banchero had 27-12-5 with 2 steals. Rough from the field and rough from the line. That's a Banchero special. And then the center spot. They went with Goga Badadze again. He played 26 minutes, 13-7, a steal, a block, 100, 6 of 6 from the line. From the field. What am I talking about? From the field. If they're going to start Goga over Wendell, I think you roster him. In a 14-team league, I'd be all about adding Goga. If I'm in a 12, I would consider it. They play again tomorrow, so I'd be okay doing that. There's no guarantee that Carter even plays. As for Wendell, he played 20 minutes and had 6 points, a steal, and a block. More than happy to have him on the wire. No problem. There's just not enough upside for me to wait for things to turn around here. Mo Wagner had 12 in 16 minutes, so they still went the 3-center thing, although Mo is playing more as a power forward now. That might change when Ingles and Isaac return. The rotation is still a lot of question marks. For the Warriors, the bucket, John Kuminga, 34 minutes, 19, 6 and 4, 1 steal, 2 blocks. With the Draymond weird quote from Steve earlier in the day, I am interested in adding the bucket here. Yes, he's going to have some issues with his free throws, but he was 4 or 5 in this one. Points leagues, 100%. I think you got to have him. And category leagues, I think we go back and do it. And Steph, who'd been really slumping, was great as well. 36, 2 and 7, 4 steals and a block. Great to get that efficiency back. Great to get the steals out of Curry. Chris Paul started. He was okay. 12, 2 and 5 in 30 minutes, while Jackson Davis did enough for me to suggest he is remaining a 12-team league guy. 10 and 4, 1 steal, 2 blocks. Klay Thompson, the worry has to be here, the 25 minutes. To be fair to Klay, some of that is foul trouble, and he definitely wasn't at his worst, but at the moment, I'm not sure what his best actually is. He had 15, 3 and 2. He did have 4 fouls in that time, but 3 and 2 with no steals, no free throw attempts. He's a points and 3 sort of a guy. He's 140th for the season. He did have a really strong run, but I'm not certain that he remains a must roster. I think he is for now, but I'm not certain of it. I am certain that we don't need Andrew Wiggins. 10 points in 21 minutes with 2 steals. Well, Podziemski on the bench, we thought it might not be a great game for Podziemski, and in the end it wasn't. 1 of 4 from the line stinks. But 10, 4 and 2 with a steal and a 3 remains a hold. It is trending downwards pretty quickly, but Switch just does shit out there. We know that. So I'm okay to hold for a little bit here. Gary Payton returned super early from his calf tear, not only to suffer a hamstring strain in this one. I fear that this man's body, much like the Alex Caruso's and even Jalen Suggs's, maybe can't withstand what they try to do on the NBA court. That is a genuine concern, and with Peyton likely missing time here, this is going to be a 30-year-old man with soft tissue injury history. Straining a hamstring is going to be weeks. It's probably 2 of them, minimum 2, I would guess. That's a boost there to Podziemski. And we thought they might get some Moses Moody, and he didn't actually play, but it does help keep Podziemski's floor up. They went the 3 centers again with Šarić and Looney, 14 for Šarić and 17 minutes for Looney. At some point, one of those guys has just got to be out of the rotation. So I think it's really clear that Jackson Davis is a guy that we do want to roster at this stage, and hopefully it just continues to blossom. That's the game, 6 of them on Tuesday here in the NBA. Let's do our stream of the day recap. Wasn't a particularly strong one. It was all right. Andre Drummond, 11 and 17 to steal on the block with putrid percentages. We've already talked about him. The 12-teamer was Caruso. He didn't do anything. 8-2-2 with a block. The 14-teamer was the Dart, Goga Badadze, 13 and 7, a steal and a block. That's a huge, absolutely huge W. The 16-teamer was Ayo Dosunmu, also a W. 15 points for him, 3 rebounds and a steal. And if Kobe White or Pat Williams miss tomorrow, we do like the value there of Ayo. And then, of course, the Yahoo and the ESPN point stream was Pat Williams, and he did absolutely nothing. 3.2 fantasy points on Yahoo and 2 for ESPN. Of course, he left the game after 10 minutes, but I'm not going to sit here and piss on your shoes and tell you it's raining and say that he was good before that, because he wasn't. He stunk. And that is the Patrick Williams experience so very, very many times. The monstrous line of the night time. Probably only a couple of contenders here, I would say, to get this one, but in the end, we're going to the man making his return. It is Joel Embiid. 31 points, 15 rebounds, and 10 assists. Your waiver wire line of the night, the best performance from a player available in over 50% of fantasy leagues, and we are going to Joel's teammate, the sexiest man alive, Kelly Oubre, 16 points with 3 assists and 3 steals. The young gun of the night, the best performance from a player in his first or second season in the NBA. We are going to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Paulo was close, didn't get it. It goes to Chet. 14 and 7 with 4 blocks. That 7, by the way, is assists, not rebounds. He's been flashing some passing stuff this season. And not only is the dud of the night very obvious, this might be, honestly, the dud of the year. Maybe there's another candidate out there. Maybe I'm biased because I'm a hater. But Cam Thomas had 0 points. He had 0 assists. And he missed all 11 of his field goal attempts. Hard for me to find a worse performance from a highly owned player all season. But that is what Cam Thomas delivered. Let's go through the top 6 performers for today in the NBA. We will start with our top 6 category league guys. Number 1 was Joel Embiid, followed by Kristaps Porzingis, Steph Curry, Jason Tatum, Terry Rozier, and Miles Bridges in that big upset win over the Kings. The top 6 players rostered under 50% of leagues. Oubre, Badadze. Oubre's a 12 for now. Badadze, probably a 14, maybe a 12. Aldama, deeper league stuff. The Bucket, John Kuminga. Yeah, I don't mind an ad there. Dyson Daniels, well, that's blowout related, although maybe minutes tomorrow if Zion sits. And then Bubbles himself, Julian Champagny, who was good, but I'm not ready to trust that at all. Your top 6 players in Yahoo points scoring today was Embiid, Curry, Porzingis, Gilgeous-Alexander, Tatum, and Terrence Rozier. Lastly, let's go through some takeaways. It wasn't easy to find some absolute must-add players. So I'm going to throw Larry Nance on there as someone that I think is worth a grab, at least in a 14-team league. I'm throwing the Bucket John Kuminga in there. I just think we go and grab him. You can also have his teammate Trace Jackson Davis. The other name I put there is just to remember, because I didn't even talk about him in the breakdown, Jalen Wilson in Brooklyn. Just watch for him later in the season. He's doing enough that if you're in a luxury stash or deeper scenario, two-way guy, just watch him. Just watch him. We're not adding him anywhere else, but deeper leagues. The drops, Cam Thomas, I'm done. And Al Horford, we move on from him. We stream him back in when somebody sits. The Jalen Wilson one, I just want to, again, clarify. Don't add Jalen Wilson now. Just put him onto your radar. If you're in a deeper league scenario, just watch it in March. Just watch for him at the end of March. Watch if they blow it up at the trade deadline. Just watch for Jalen Wilson. Just giving you a name to keep there in your head. And that brings us to the end of this show. You know what to do, I hope. You become a double banger. You listen on the video, you go to the audio, or you watch the video, you listen to the audio, you subscribe, you thumbs it up, you leave comments, all of that stuff down below. You ring the notification bell. Be your own powerful Anita Ward at this time in 2024. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.